This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
No need to keep it clean. The waiver wire is looking pretty lean. Fuck UKL, it's championship round. It's week 17.
I was pretty horny about that, but I think when I met Kev, I met someone even hornier.
Aussie?
He's been comparing me to Wilt Chamberlain. So just like Wilt Chamberlain, I'm going to pull in 20,000 women tonight, and we're going to have the highest ratings of the entire season because of me.
NFL?
Yeah, you thought it was Simpsons Barney, but I was talking about the fucking big purple piece of shit.
I mean, it's very presumptuous of me.
Fantasy.
Sometimes you just need an expert opinion, MANJOT.
Can't be shooting mid-ranges anymore. RIP Kobe.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Fantasy Wilt Chamberlain, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait till he hears my Taylor impersonation when I'm picking his starts team.
For the Aussie Gridiron Network, this is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. They call me Matty C. And joining me for this very important Week 17 show, it's the one that decides championships right across the continent and nearby islands. And joining me is not the finest fantasy analyst around, Taylor Goodall. It's Kev Patterson. Welcome back.
Matty.
Joining us tonight is actually my partner in football crimes. It's only MANJOT Melly. Welcome back, mate.
Oh, man, I've been waiting all season to get on Aussie NFL Fantasy once again. Great to meet the boy Kev as well. It's just great. You know, we've been talking online all this time.
We are going to dive in to the segment that everybody loves. This is the number one rated part of our show every week. It's Starts of the Week.
In the beginning, there was nothing, a featureless void. From the formless primordial state, a legend was born when forces combined to create a solid object of significant value. As planets were formed and Earth itself was shaped, the object lay awaiting its destiny. Seas rise and fall, mountains emerge, and upon the highest mountain, an intrepid adventurer happens upon the object. A worthy prize for ascending this to the tallest of peaks. This object has been documented to be held by many of the great dynasties of mankind, from the Persians to the Hans, the Mongols and the Ottomans, lives lost defending it from those who seek to possess it. Now it is in the trust of three wise men who also reach such pinnacles, to be held by he who imparts the most astute knowledge upon fellow mankind. The winner of the annual Aussie NFL Fantasy Show Starts of the Week.
Now, fellas, we're getting on to starts, and I need to recap last week really quickly, because what happened? MANJOT, you have been hot pissed at the world most of the year because you were worried that they weren't going to get a grandstand finish, right? You were worried about that. Well, I can tell you, there's a grandstand finish on. It's not quite the one you're hoping for, but it is there. Let me give you the quick recap of last week's scores. Taylor, and here he is. Let me throw this up on the screen. Goes and scores 54.26. Matt Stafford scores 7, which is not excellent. ETN gets 5.7. He loses a water bet to Josh last week over Jags running backs. That'll learn you, Taylor. But then Thielen,
Vegas quarterbacks.
Oh, my God. We'll talk about that. Thielen and Williams go and throw up most of his score. Fryermuth catches a couple of balls. He goes and scores 54. Not great. Josh Viggers, who comes into the show and takes Aaron Rodgers 101. He only goes and throws up 13 points. Not fantastic. But he wins the Bigsby and ETN bet by starting Bigsby. Fantastic. Brandon Cookson and Tucker Kraft go up and throw up sort of 8-9 points each. And CJ Stroud goes and throws up 18. It's not the worst. He scores 57. I go and press forward my lead in this segment this year because Goff and Richardson do all the heavy lifting. They go and throw up 25 and 21 between them. Warren scores 14 points. Darnell Mooney scores 13. Kincaid, not so great. I end up with 77 points, and it means that the standings this week, Matty C out on 38 points. But check this out. Taylor Talk, our champion of the people, has 29 points in the competition. The world has 29. Kev, you're responsible for 6 of those, and you won't even be picking for the world tonight. You're going to be Taylor.
I see what Taylor's done here. Taylor's like, oh, yeah, well, I don't want to be the one to lose to MANJOT, so I'm just gonna bail out and let Kev do it this week. It all makes sense now, Matty. It all makes sense now. Bet you just sit at home with a beer.
Pressure got to him?
Oh, my goodness.
MANJOT's the world's pinch hitter, and he comes in here knowing that he's 90 points behind on aggregate, so you just have to beat him. But you can't tie. You're both on 29. Someone's got to get either 3, 2, or 1. The other person's got to get whatever's left over. Someone's going to emerge after week 17 ahead of the other. You got your grandstand finish, MANJOT.
Yes, indeed. And look, I need to address all the listeners right now. I do have something big to say. Been saving it all season, been waiting and waiting and waiting to get on this show so I can tell you guys what's been going on behind the scenes. So as we know, I'm no longer a regular guy on Aussie NFL Fantasy, and the reason why, well, I've just been very busy with different projects across the network this year. So in my place, I just decided I was going to assemble a team of superstar fantasy football analysts, guys who would get me the job done in starts of the week. I consistently finished third the 2 seasons I was a full-time host on this show for. I assembled a team so that I could actually get my team over the top this year. I thought we'd have a chance at first place. Well, it didn't eventuate to that. I thought I would come in, finish off Matty this year, just finish at the top and beat Matty in the last week. Well, sadly, don't get my chance to. We are 9 points away, unless this is like an 11-point week. If we win, we get 11 points. Well, yeah, I can't win this. I can't win this. So, look, with that being said, I would like to thank everyone who's filled in, for me this year. I know I do miss being on the show. I think my fantasy teams miss being on the show too. I think I missed the week-to-week research, and my fantasy football results have kind of shown that this year. But I think as well, look, I've really enjoyed listening to all the guests, all the different people being on the world team. And I think I definitely enjoyed it more listening to everyone doing starts of the week, even if they got 13 points or 15 points, if they got 90 points. And, I just really enjoyed listening to everyone's perspective this year and everyone being a guest. And I know probably Taylor, if he's out there, if he was on the show, he'd definitely be saying the same thing in the exact same way I'm saying it. Just thanking all our guests, for being on the show this year. And look, I'm just really glad to be back doing starts of the week and being on the clock eventually for the final week of the season. So yeah, there's a whole backstory of what happened with the world team. It was a team assembled by myself and by the boys as well to just take over my position, make sure I do not finish last. And look, it's up to me to make sure we don't finish last this year. So it's all on me, and I reckon I'll do it, Matty.
Mate, I've got some faith in you, and you've done a great thing by working on all these great things you've got in the background. And if people have not caught up with MANJOT's, he is building a freaking empire, and it's not just his pastry press NFL work there in things that are NFL based. He has been really gathering a massive following around not just the NFL stuff, but also around Australian gridiron. And I've been on part of that journey with you. We've been talking to a lot of different federations around Australia, and we've attracted the attention of American Football Australia, which is amazing. And it's this guy has been working so hard in the background. So he hasn't been on our show and he hasn't been on G'day Gridiron, but mate, this guy, relentless. And here he is. He's just been taking on the help of all sorts of guys. We've had Pete Neal through twice. We've had Brendan Long. We've had Courtney Walsh. We've had, Courtney Walsh. Courtney Ward. I've called him Courtney Walsh twice. And he's always flattered. He's like, I wish I could bowl that fast. Benny Jones. We've had guys come through. We've had so many guys come through who've done an excellent job of filling in the role of MANJOT. No one better than Kev, who's come through twice. And Kev, you have won this segment in week 1. You did it again in week 12. And now, if you're going to win it, you're going to win it for Taylor against the world. How are you feeling about this situation, this set of circumstances?
Perfectly fine, mate. I've just been getting into my Taylor mode. I just want to make sure the beers are in the chili bin and my jandals are on. Called all the Cuzzy bros to let them know what's going on. Go the All Blacks, jersey? Go the Black Caps, just not the Tall Blacks. We're Australian basketball.
Definitely not the All Whites too. I think that's a problematic name for the soccer team these days. Jesus Christ! Someone in their marketing team is in. They need to reassess what they're doing Monday to Friday, I think. But anyway, Okay, now that you've got you're now ready to pick, standing right next to the recently disfigured statue of Abel Tasman in Smith Street, New Plymouth. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
About the best New Zealand accent I've got. I mean, I've done some accents on this show this year.
Sure, bro.
I've been I've been sitting on my Kiwi accent. Mate, we have got a heck of a week too, because I reckon what we'll find here is that we are recording this right after Monday Night Football in the US. It is in the evening Australian time on Tuesday with a bit of lead time because we've got all sorts of holidays galore and people spend a lot of time with their families in a way in Australia that they don't necessarily do in other parts of the world because it's summer here and you're not a prisoner of your freaking house watching television like they are in the Northern Hemisphere. We actually get out and socialize at this time of year in the way that some people do in things like, July the 4th or summer solstice events. So that happens at the same time as Christmas here, which is why through this period it's difficult to get guys together and do things on the regular schedule. But we have got a treat for starts of the week this week. We have lent into Superflex last week, and we are going to repeat the dosage. We're going to have a 5-round draft. We are going to be allowed to pick anyone we want in a 5th position. So we still have to pick a quarterback, a wide receiver, a running back, a tight end, and then anyone we want to be in the 5th position. We're going to run it as per usual in starts of the week. Round 1. Round 2, Round 3, Round 4 in a traditional state, but then Round 5 will be a repeat of Round 4, just to make sure the person who gets first overall pick doesn't have the whole advantage of also getting the first pick of the 5th round. And because Matty C won last week, I get to pick the draft order. How about that? Ooh. And with great responsibility, I have gone and thrown only the guy who has schooled us at starts of the week 2 weeks in a row. I'm going to give him the first pick, which... Tell me, this is madness to me to do this, but I actually don't think there's enough people who are compelling enough that number 1 is a bigger advantage over picking anywhere else. And I would do this to Taylor. I would put him first. And Kev, since you're picking in place of Taylor, you have to put up with me treating you the same as Taylor, even though I love you far, far more, and you know that. But I'm going to put you first, MANJOT second, and Matty C in the asshole end. We happy with that?
Ooh. It's probably a week where I was looking at my list going, I wouldn't mind going 3rd, so it probably works out if you want Taylor to lose.
Don't we all? isn't that what the world wants? The world wants
if we're ready to kick it off.
Yeah, I'm going to throw in there's the chime and the clock is on. And Kev, all yours, brother. Let's do this.
Oh, no. Taylor's first pick from Taylor 2.0 is Anthony Richardson against the New York Giants.
Oh,
he's been on a bit of a tear lately. The Giants' defense is an absolute bucket of assholes, and he seems to be a bit hesitant to pass the ball, and he's quite capable of using his legs. I think he's what did he score you 21.4 last week?
Yep,
I reckon he's probably in for a similar boat this week too.
I mean, that's all you're looking for, right? You're just looking for a guy who can throw you up some points. You're pretty comfortable with how he's going to do it. There's not a lot of margin for error. That's kind of what you're looking for, right? With the first pick. Yep. Against the Giants, it could be more. Let's face it. Plenty of upside.
Yeah. I had him as my first pick.
It was the top name on my list, so.
He was the top name on mine too. That's why I was so upset just then. I was like, damn it, why did Matty have to give him the first pick? Because I was definitely taking A-Rich number 1.
Wow, okay. So I've ruffled the MANJOT feathers.
You definitely have.
No patience for Matty.
But MANJOT, you're a seasoned veteran on this podcast, and you've spent a couple of years playing this segment. So I thought putting you in the middle would give you a really even look at everything.
Yeah, shout out MANJOT in the middle. That was a great running joke for those couple of years I was on the podcast when I got the 2nd overall pick. Yeah. Always be MANJOT in the middle. Yeah.
Also a great sitcom.
I loved it. Yeah, that was it's very funny how he became Walter White in the end there, Bryan Cranston. So
funny.
Yeah. We just got Brian going from like the lovable dad to the crack addict. It was just the biggest like plot twist.
Where so many dads end up. Let's face it, rearing children, and I think Kev would agree with this. Not easy.
Oh, definitely not. I can't imagine. Yeah, it's a good time, I reckon. Yeah, to look at quarterback as well. I think in a
Okay.
super flex, I'm going to go with a guy I've been riding pretty high on this whole time. He's been getting a lot of hate all these years. I'm going to go with Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young against the Buccaneers, he's going to have a pretty good game. I'm pretty excited to see him. He's been tossing touchdowns left and right. He scored 27 against Arizona last week, and he's only projected to be a 13.4 point
Oh,
quarterback this
No,
week.
get
So
more than that. He was
Over.
on my list.
over.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
On my
Yeah,
list.
definitely
on that.
smashing the over. And I'm really hoping, because I know the world team's been having a bit of a tough time picking quarterbacks recently. So I'm hoping that we can get something here with Bryce Young. So Bryce, just go out there and start tossing dimes for me, please.
He was definitely on my list. Yeah. I'd said before too, like that game could be a shootout. Bryce has been fine. Yeah, I'm completely on board with Manjot's pick, despite the fact I'm picking against him this week.
Can I ask you too? Because Ian has this conspiracy where he's pretty sure that the Panthers are like a 500 team masquerading as a shit team. That he reckons they could probably have won more games than they have. Do you believe this? Are they like shielding Bryce Young from being this incredible quarterback he can be to try and feed the public narrative of him being like, meh?
Yeah, I don't know, really. They certainly picked it up since he's come back off the bench, haven't they? Like, if he had that confidence at the start of the year, they could have been up in the absolute hodgepodge mess of a playoff race in the NFC South. I don't see a reason why not. Like, next year, I'd be a lot higher on them as well than where they are currently.
They got 5 wins. Not hopeless.
Yeah. You even look at the Bears, like, what are we? 4 wins, but 8 of them in the last 9 games have been one-score heartbreaks.
Yeah. Well, Jags, same. We would be second in the AFC if one-score games had been flipped on the head. So, yeah. So it's one of those things. I just think Carolina probably better than their record says. And mate, I had Bryce Young on my list. He was the lowest start rate of anybody on my list. He's at 4%. Richo's only at 28. I love that you guys are going right there, taking quarterbacks. I'm going to wait on quarterback. I'm going to do. Go ahead and take a running back. Am I? No, I'm going to take a wide receiver. I'm going to take a wide receiver first. And I need a ruling. This is why I think I've been good on the segment this year, is I've gone after guys who I need a ruling on, and I've just had them taken out of segment if they're not okay, and then I've kept them if they're all right. The guy I need a ruling on is, and Manjot's not going to believe this, Deebo Samuel.
Oh. Yeah, I was not expecting that.
44% of leagues against Detroit, who don't have a terrific secondary. They don't. And they've been in a lot of one-score games where, you played the Bears last week. Of course, they just ran up a score and the Bears couldn't keep up. But I don't doubt the 49ers have offense to keep up. And I think Deebo has just kind of been irrelevant, and he's going to want to finish strong because his ego's too big. So I'm leaning into it.
I'm fine with it. If you look at his fantasy scores since the bye, there's a reason he's under 50%. They came out of the bye, they played Tampa, he had 12 points, 6 points, 3 points, 4 points, 5.5, 4.9, 25 last week. Yeah, I think he fits his segment.
I'm okay with it. Look, the line's 50%. If I'm correct, is that correct, Matty? We've changed it from 60 to 50. Yeah,
got to be 50 or under.
Sure.
He's gone up, but he's still 46%. Like, I'm fine with it. Go for it.
Yeah, it's under 50. Go for it, Matty. I'll give you that one for sure.
I can't believe Manjot is letting me have Deebo Samuel. So there you go. Where were you at on the Saturday after Christmas when this happened? Because that's when this show's coming out on the. So there you go. Deebo Samuel is in the book. 46% we said. Okay. I'm now going to go and take my quarterback. And Manjot's going to die. I'm going to stack that bitch up with Purdy. He was also 44% started.
I never thought the day would come where Matty is talking up Brock Purdy in fantasy football. We've had to endure 2-3 years nearly of just Matty shitting on Brock Purdy in fantasy all the time. He's talking about him. I don't even remember what nickname he used. It was Bortles, was it? Yeah, I think he called it Bortles and everything. He called him every single derogatory nickname under the sun. And finally starting him in starts of the week. This is where were you on Saturday afternoon after Christmas when Matty C started Brock Purdy? That is incredible. The
These
28th.
are my first two picks.
Yes, the 28th of December 2024, where Matty starts Brock Purdy and Deebo Samuel. This is impossible.
Was not on
Can
my
you
list,
believe?
but yeah, I'm good. Go for it.
Okay. I'm just going to shift it back to MANJOT now on the clock, and I'm just going to celebrate a little bit that I've got two 49ers on my team.
I did not have either of them on my list, but well played, Matty. Now, look, one guy we talked up a little bit earlier in this show was indeed a guy I said I was starting across the board quite a bit, and he's only started very surprisingly in 27% of leagues. I was expecting this to be way more. I'm going to go with Bo Nix. Bo Nix against the Bengals. Just put that one down. I've definitely got him up there for sure.
That was
I
going
had
to be
him.
my next pick.
Yeah, I thought he'd be one of the guys you guys would love to have as your super flex option. So I've got to go double down quarterback, Bo Nix. I reckon him, Bryce Young, two guys I love right now. Bo Nix, I have made the comparison before between him and Tim Tebow. I think he's got that Tim Tebow sort of aura with
better.
all the magical sort of plays, but he's a way better passer, way better quarterback. Yeah, he's what Tim Tebow, if Tim Tebow had all his magical abilities, plus if he could actually like throw a goddamn football. Literally, that's what Bo Nix is to me. And literally, Bo Nix has had all these magical abilities everywhere. He's just carrying the Broncos throughout this season. I really enjoyed the ride. I thought he looked like absolute garbage. He looked like absolute garbage like the first couple of weeks. I thought
Until about week
damn.
5.
Yeah.
After about week 5, I'm like, I believe.
Oh, yes, indeed. And that's when he got on the board against the Raiders, he was just going off against them. And ever since he's been around that 20 or so point range in fantasy, he's getting consistently over 14 points. So I reckon against Cincinnati this week, he's projected for 15.83. It's very surprising to see him at 27% started. So when I saw that, had to take him right there.
He was going to be my next pick, but if Taylor was here, he probably would have put him in Taylor talk, and I would have been able to pick him anyway. So it works out.
Fuck you, Taylor.
Oh, thank God for no Taylor talk. I think that rule, by the way, that rule of no Taylor talk was pretty much implemented for me because last year Taylor would just talk about players on Taylor talk, and then I'm like, shit, they must be going well. They're on Taylor talk. I might take a guy here or two. I kept doing that like every single week. I think this year we sort of just implemented that rule so no one could be as lazy as me for analysis. So I reckon that's what Matty's intent was with that one.
I also think it stopped Taylor doing the same segment twice of him being like, here's all my guys for Taylor Talk. Now I'm going to pick them all. So, yeah, it kind of forces us deeper into the ball bag, Phillip Rivers ball bag, or the Tyreek ball bag these days, I guess. But how wonderful is it to have the freedom of that this week? Even though we're missing 4 teams, we've said everybody who were playing on the Christmas Day games, we're going to pass on. So we feel like that's a disadvantage enough.
Indeed. With the theme of the episode, Matty, it could be the Wilt Chamberlain ball bag too.
I mean, that's probably the deepest of them all. It's a Mariana Trench of testicular volume, right?
The Mariana Trench full of sperm.
It's going in a drop. So there you go. Kev, you get 2 picks in a row here to close out the second round and kickstart our third round. You're currently sitting on a big bag of Anthony Richardson. Where do you move next?
Mate, I'm going to take my running back next. And it's someone we talked about in the mailbag. And I'm going to go with Tyrone Tracy against Indiana. Indy's not exactly very good against the run, and the Giants' QBs have been a bucket of assholes. I think he's going to get some opportunity to get going, and he also gets involved in the passing work here. It's just more of a safe option. I did have a couple of other guys on the list, but there's a bit more cloud around them. I think he's probably the best of the guys on my list, so I'll nab him here and now.
Yeah, I like the pick, and I understand why our listener was going in the mailbag, and that that's probably a deeper bag than even Wilt Chamberlain's bag right there. And was just going straight through and just asking about Tyrone Tracy. So yeah, I totally understand. I like the call there, Kev. I like it.
No, nobody's bag is deeper than Manjot's. He currently has the lowest started guy in the segment at 4%. So maybe Will Chamberlain has nothing on Manjot's bag.
Yes, I had a guy at like 8% as well in my notes as well, which was pretty deep. But I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it.
That's 2 rounds done. Kev, we love Tyrone Tracy. You currently got him and Richo. And now on the way back, wide receiver, tight end, and your flex option are all open to you. What do you do?
Yep, we're going to take Taylor's boy, Jalen McMillan.
Oh!
Panthers aren't exactly a great defense. Baker's going to be slinging that rock, and if Evans has got a little bit of coverage, I think McMillan's been kind of emerged as a clear number 2, and he's going to be in for another decent game. So I'll take Jalen McMillan here.
Yeah, I mean, now that you're saying if they're going to go to Evans a lot, that McMillan, I've just been thinking of another comparison of like way back in the year 2000 when Jerry Rice was about to leave the 49ers and he's playing his last game against the Bears, and they were trying to force feed it to Jerry Rice, and then Terrell Owens was open all day and he broke the NFL record for catches. So I'm not saying Jalen McMillan will get like 20 catches in this game, but I think he can get a pretty big ton. So there's a bit of NFL history knowledge for you guys right there. But yeah, Jalen McMillan, I like the call. I do, definitely. And he was the guy I was looking at as well.
I think I heard Jalen McMillan is Terrell Owens. I think that's what I heard.
That is what you heard. Yes, that is correct.
I love Terrell Owens. I've got 4 of his jerseys. I love that guy. All right, so you got Richo 28% at home versus the New York Giants. Oh, sorry, away versus New York Giants. Same game, Tyrone Tracy at home versus Indianapolis, and then Jalen McMillan. And you've got a tight end and a flex to go. Manjot's got his quarterback and his super flex solved. So you've got a running back, a wide receiver, but no one's taken a tight end yet. So keep that in mind. You're on the clock, brother.
Yes, I am indeed. And I was looking at tight ends earlier. Thanks for reminding me no one's taken a tight end. So I think I'll just go straight in right now, look for my tight end. And the one I'm going to pick out, who hasn't been doing well the last 2 weeks, ever since his bye week, but I think he can have a bounce back game here. I'm going to go with Zach Ertz, 21% started. He's gone up against Atlanta. Atlanta's been pretty shit against tight ends all year. And look, one of the resources I always love to cite when I'm doing my starts of the week is Fantasy Pros. And Fantasy Pros, their matchup star rating system, you boys always like to bring it up because of me. So, and Zach Ertz is right there at the top with some of them. So I'm going to go with Zach Ertz for sure against Atlanta. I do have to admit, like with my quarterbacks as well, they're both 4-star matchups, and my tight end was a 4-star matchup. So there you go. Like all 3 of my picks are on that 4-star matchup sort of rating.
Yeah, going hard. All right, so now puts me on the turn. I'm nervous about tight end. Tight end has been one of those positions where there's a lot of points on offer, but you got to pick the right guy. There's definitely been this thing at tight end where if you pick the right guy every week, you can score 15 points. You can just score 15 points, and a lot of these guys you can pick up for not a whole lot. Manjot mentioned this guy through the week, and I would like to lean into his call because David Njoku is playing against Miami. He's already kind of talked through a bunch of the benefits that there's targets there. It doesn't matter if it's DTR. It really doesn't matter who it is. And we're in a position, too, where we're picking guys who are post-Christmas, and there's quite a few fun guys who would have been in the Christmas slate of games. So I'm going to take Njoku here and throw him in as my tight end. He's currently started in 45% of leagues versus Miami.
Yeah, I'm going for it. I thought he was started when I said that. I thought he was started in a few more leagues, so I'm totally fine with that. I did not expect him to be started so lowly there, Matty.
Yeah, I kind of feel very fortunate with that one. On the way back, I'm going to go and take my running back now because what I want to do is on the way back on my last round, I don't want to have to be tethered to a position because I'll have my super flex left to pick, and Kev's in that position too. He hasn't picked his super flex. He's got a tight end and his super flex to go. And I kind of want to get the jump on that if Kev doesn't take his super flex now. So I'm going to go and take my running back. Jalen Ward, who's been a staple of this segment, played Christmas, so he's actually out, right? It gives me this position where there are so many people in this horrible matchup of two teams that can't stop they don't know whether a fart is a shit or not. Like, have you ever been in that position where you go, ooh, should I let that fart go? I don't know. Like, they can't stop it, and you're just at the mercy of what happens. Jags play the Titans this week, and again, last time the Jags played the Titans, I was away. This time the Jags played Titans, Taylor's away, so I don't actually get to give him a whole bucket of shit about this, but the running backs in both ends of this matchup are delicious. They're actually delicious. And I was wondering who to lean into. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to lean into Tank Bigsby. Tanks, they don't have hands. We saw that. Tank lost a fumble this week. We saw Tank Dell also doesn't have legs. Not just hands, doesn't have legs. The poor guy, so injured right now. And we hope he recovers quickly. But, mate, you know what we know about Tanks? They kick the shit out of Tennessee. And with everyone's support, I'm going to go and take Tank Bigsby because he has started in 15% of leagues and he won my boy, Joshy Viggers, a water bet against Taylor. And you better keep the heat on Taylor because he will not pay up if you don't keep the heat on. Hashtag heat on Taylor.
Oh, man, I always love the water bets. Matty had to eat some water because I beat him in a matchup this year in the Astro League. So, I'm a big fan of these water bets. I haven't lost one this year. I haven't lost one this year because I'm 1 for 1. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a big water bet guy. So shout out to Josh for the W there and the water bet as well last week.
Big call. All right, so Manjot's on his way back in the 4th round now. You need to pick a wide receiver or a running back because you currently got Bryce Young, Zach Ertz, and Bo Nix. So quarterback, super flex, and tight end. Who are you taking?
So with the running back, 18% started. He had missed 3 games in a row. Then in his first week back, he was a bit slow. But last week, he was getting something going. This week, he's facing against a Saints rush defense that has been pretty porous. I'm talking about Alexander Madison, who started in 18% of leagues. And I think at the start of the season, he was pretty good across the board. He was getting over 10 points a game consistently. And last week, he got back on the board here with a good touchdown against the Jags, and he had some good numbers as well. So I was pretty impressed with his pass catching work. His yardage totals, he only got about 50 combined yards rushing and receiving, but he got 4 catches and a touchdown, which was really important. That's what got him to that 15.6 points. So I reckon him this week against the Saints, I think he can get another touchdown here. So I'm going to go with Madison.
Kev, we have had quite a lot of skin in the game on players from the Vegas Raiders. Mad quarterbacks, let's be honest. But it's a heck of a stick your neck out moment in a backfield that has been so full of flux. How do you feel about MANJOT's call? Do you think he's vulnerable, or do you reckon he's a worthwhile pick?
He was on my list, Matty, but he wasn't someone I was overly confident in.
Okay.
He's been very, very up and down, but he will see a lot of volume, and if there's a defense kind of get right against as a running back, he's playing it this week. So, Sincere McCormick's out. Mir Abdullah will probably see the pass work. And, I think Madison was on my list. If I'd have left running back till later, I might have taken him if you two had taken him.
Okay. I mean, it's just such a funny team too. Like, they just went right out of the way to make sure they were in sole possession of first plays pretty much, and they first pick, and they go and piss it away with the win against the Jags at home. So nice to see a Raiders team win in Las Vegas before the Canberra Raiders go there and win in Las Vegas in week 1 next year. So
Car Ramrod, mate. Car Ramrod. I told Nathaniel. Car Ramrod. Just took you from pick 1 to pick 6.
Mate, we're believers. You turned me into a believer. We were messaging on the side, and I'm a believer.
Bring me great joy if he pulls them out of range of a quarterback and he's starting for him next year. Just so I can cover space.
Mate, you've recruited me. I would just like to see Minch go somewhere where he can continue to be a positive influence on the team, even if that means he stays in Vegas and is the biggest cheer supporter for Car Ramrod. Mate, either way, just it's been a great result, and I've got to send you some. I sent you a picture of me extremely wet, but I need to send you the videos where I got doused for both our water bets on Vegas.
That's right. I'm planning on paying up the Denver Broncos running back one when I go up to Darwin to visit Nathaniel. He's going to quite happily pour some water over me.
Very nice, very nice. Hopefully by then too, the Rams running back one will be solved as well. So.
He might just give him 2 5-litre buckets, fill them with a bit of ice and water, and be like, here you go.
It's so good. Just a whole esky would pay the whole lot off, mate. I'd be down. Half an esky.
Yeah, I'm kind of look with the way the weather is here in the summertime in Canberra and stuff, and it gets real hot and the 40-degree days. I'm kind of wishing I lost the water bet at this point. I would love to have like someone like Matty C just put some water all over my head and. Even my turban and everything getting wet at that point. I'd just be hella soaked like everywhere across the board. So, look, I would totally lose a water bet just to do that.
Yeah, we've been in 40-degree and humid as shit days for about 3 months, so I'm actually looking forward to paying it off.
I bet. Mate, for us in Canberra, humidity is just for holidays. You go and experience it for 3 days at a time and you come back to where it is dry as fuck. So that's... I don't know how you guys do it. 40 degrees is one thing, but 40 degrees with humidity, it's a totally different thing. Kev, you're in the position now where you get to roll out your 4th round pick. You've got a tight end. You've got your super flex to consider, but you don't get the double pick this time. It'll come back to me to start the 5th round. So consider carefully because I've also got my super flex to pick.
Yeah. There's 2 tight ends I'm tossing up between, also 2 quarterbacks I'm tossing up between. So
you're tossing 2 tight ends and 2 quarterbacks. How many hands do you have?
I'm Goro from Mortal Kombat. I actually might take my tight end here. I don't really mind leaving either of those 2 quarterbacks and taking whichever one comes back to me because I had 6 names on my list and one I really wasn't confident in and the other 2 are still there. So,
wow. Okay. I mean, and they might both come back. You don't know what Matty C is going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Brock Purdy wasn't on my list, so you've already done one of them.
All right. Well, I'm ready.
I debated Noah Fant against Chicago, but he's under an injury cloud.
I wouldn't do it. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually going to go with Tyler Conklin. Conk Conk against Buffalo.
You are Taylor.
I was debating him and Adam Troutman from the Broncos. Both have pretty good matchups for the tight end, but I think I'll lean into the Conk Rogers connection this week.
Oh my god! I'm hoping that you've got Rogers as a stack for your 5th round because that would just make me die.
It's also been the first time Conklin's even ever made my list is this week. So
has he ever made the scraps team, Kev?
He has not.
No, the only person in the world who has taken Conklin ever. I'm pretty sure. I may have taken him once last year, but I'm pretty sure
Taylor was high. He was high sometimes last year on the Conk Conk train.
He caught 5 or 7 last week, and it's a better matchup for tight end this week. Rogers, I think the Jets don't have anything to play for, but he's still just going out to try and fuck things up. So let's roll with it.
You try and tell Tyler Conklin not to put in his best effort. I'd like to see you do that because that guy, he needs a contract next year. So good luck telling him not to put in his best foot. He had pretty much a Mike Evans line too, 5 of 7, like Mike Evans, 59 yards. Mike Evans had 69 yards. The guy's pretty much Mike Evans, okay? And started in 2% of leagues. MANJOT, no pressure. But we've just seen Kev take the lowest watermark of everybody. He had 10.9 points last week, and this week he gets Buffalo in Buffalo. And anything could happen. Anything could happen. Division games are funny. All right, we're going to start the 5th round. Matty C is on the clock, and I've been tossing up whether I even take a second quarterback, Kev, because, mate, you've taught me some shit. You've taught me some shit. Superflex doesn't necessarily mean 2 quarterback. Sometimes it means take the best guy, and quarterback's cute because everyone thinks they're going to score a bunch. But the problem with a segment like this is that the guys who aren't started ubiquitously, they're kind of just guys who are drifting around or sitting on people's benches. So often there are opportunities to pick up and start a guy because of his matchup that will exceed expectations. Now, the guy I would have loved to have taken if this segment had happened before Christmas was a guy like Xavier Worthy or Rashad Bateman, because those guys all of a sudden have kind of just caught a little bit of heat. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stick in that realm and I'm going to jettison quarterback so you can take who you want, who you had circled. You can go and do that. And I'm going to lean in, and I want to see whether I get shouted down for this one. Jaden Reed at Minnesota started in 45% of leagues and also not coming off a massive game today.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, he's been very inconsistent, although he has got 11.1 points every single, like the last 2 weeks, shall I say. And so a bit consistent for the number 11 getting 11 points. But apart from that, there has been a lot of inconsistency with him. So I can definitely see why it's a risk. So I'll let it slide there, Matty.
I mean, and in the meantime, too, I wrote this down when he was 45. He's backtracked to 44. And that he is the wide receiver 25 on the year. I'm going to have to eat some water on this because him and Tacdell, I had them both outside the top 35. It's part of our water bet segment. I'm going to eat some water on that. There's very little chance he's going to fall outside the top 35 by the end of this week. But instead, I'm leaning into it. I'm going to wear the water. But as long as you guys are all right with it, I'm going to take a second wide receiver in my super flex and try and break the mold a bit here.
Yep, go for it. Roll it out.
Okay. MANJOT, your team right now looks like Bryce Young, Alexander Madison, Zach Ertz, Bo Nix. You need a wide receiver. I just took one off you. What are you going to do?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And look, as a wide receiver myself, of course, you know, I think of myself as a wide receiver / quarterback.
I think of you as one too.
Yeah.
Is that you, Taysom Hill, wide receiver, quarterback? Probably a little bit of tight end every now and then.
Yeah, I'm missing my boy Taysom. He's been a great asset across the years for the Saints. I miss him. But I play in his honor every week for sure. It's like football. Yeah, that being said though, with quarterback, I need a receiver. I'm gonna stack it up here. Now, I know people are very much being against Bryce Young this whole season. Everyone's been the first couple of weeks when he got benched and everything, people were all against him, but his redemption arc, I fully believe, and I believed in this feeling that I have for Adam Thielen.
Oh, Thomas Thielen.
Exactly.
I don't believe him.
Yeah, he's my highest percent starter.
With
You. Oh, okay. Let's take this on the road, baby. Oh.
Hey. Look, he is my highest percent started at 45%. I don't think either of you guys will shout me down for that for the amount of 45% we've given Matty today. So I reckon 45% feeling's pretty safe right there.
Yeah.
He's gone backwards. He's 44 today, like this afternoon.
Hey, nice, yeah. And I've just been liking his run recently with the run he had in the last 4 games coinciding with the run that Bryce Young has had in the last 4 or 5 games. So Thielen, I think he's got that amount of experience that he's going to be someone that Bryce Young continues to rely on. And last time he played against Tampa, he got 23.9 points. Yeah. He did have a touchdown as well. So I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with this call of Adam Thielen.
Thielen's on.
I'm down with it. I'm feeling the Thielen.
He was
mate.
on my list.
You can't stop the Thielen.
Can't stop it.
Yeah, mate, I'm down with it. 44%. I'll put him in as that. It's your highest percentage started. And mate, I love the stacks. The stacks. We've got a couple of stacks today. We've got the Purdy and Debo stack. Somehow that is fantasy iffy. And then the Young Thielen stack. Somehow that's one you want to bank on. So this is what fantasy does to people. Is we've got ourselves in a position where 10 weeks ago you couldn't have let me have that, and 10 weeks ago people would have looked you square in the eye, MANJOT, and slapped both sides of your face at the same time and said, "Are you drunk?" So
I've got a head injury. Yeah. And Matty C, have you got a head injury? That sort of thing. Yeah, that's also, one of those things where I know Taylor, he's a big trade guy. And I know, Kev, you're a big trade guy as well. Fantasy's a lot like the stock market. You got to go with the rising assets. Of course, we did buy low, sell high on this show every quarter of the season.
Yeah.
or so. So every month or so, you guys do the buy low, sell high. It's really just an indication of what's rising, what's falling in the fantasy world. So, this is just another example where the 49ers stock has fallen because the team's just fallen off of injuries this year, whereas the Panthers are having a bit of a resurgence and Bryce Young is having a resurgence too. And speaking of songs, look, I would definitely love to say, with Bryce Young, he's my pretty young thing, of course.
Oh, PYT.
Yeah.
Love that.
I know. Well, I've got to be careful with that one as well, because there is a Kendrick Lamar song everyone could use to describe Bryce Young as well.
Well,
Yeah.
his MANJOT's pretty young thing. Let's lock that in and leave the Kendrick Lamar stuff out. But your team now looks like Young, Madison, Thielen, Ertz, Nix, looking great. And it leaves us in the position where Kev, whose team is Anthony Richardson, Tyrone Tracy, same game multi there. He's got Jalen McMillan at Carolina. He's got Tyler Conklin. Oh my gosh, 2% starter is the low watermark of the whole segment, and he gets to wrap it up as a super flex. You can pick anybody you want, Kev. Anybody on earth. Even Matty C. You can pick me, mate. I've had 30-point fantasy games before.
Yeah,
That's not a 50% starter, of course. Just have to put the asterisks in.
Mate, I was definitely less than 50% started. Even a 3-team league in the ACT Gridiron back in 2009, I was definitely under 50% starter, mate.
I was tossing up basically between my number 3 and 4 QBs on my list, and then Matty didn't take another QB. So virtually I was tossing up between Caleb and Drake May. Both have good matchups this week, but I'm gonna go with Caleb. Seattle secondary isn't great. Their run defense is pretty good, and DeAndre Swift's not great. I think Bears are going to get behind. Caleb's going to come out and just look to work it with his arms like he has the last couple of weeks, and probably good for a safe 18 sort of thing again. So we'll roll in.
How about that? MANJOT, what say you?
Yep, I like the call. I like the call there with Kev, and I think, Kev, best of luck to you as well. I do like your team so far, and I think me and you have a pretty good matchup going on here. I think I've been really eyeing it. I think Matty's a total non-factor this week, and even if we both just box out Matty and we both beat him, well, my ideal standings this week would probably have to be me on 3 points, and it doesn't matter which way you two go, but of course I would love the 3 points. But yeah, it doesn't matter which way. But I wouldn't mind seeing
Matty, but who cares how many points you get, Kev? I'd take that personally, Kev.
I would not mind for Matty to get 1 point this week. I would not mind for him to get 1 point. He's been on a heater. I think we just need to stop him at 40 points. 40 points needs to be a cap, all right?
I mean, it would be a world record for the segment. That's all I'm saying.
That's right. I think we're in for a good little battle this week, eh? Taylor,
yes,
2 points.
And what is relevant is, does the world win or does Taylor win? And we've only got an undefeated player playing for Taylor, who has won this segment every year we've done it. When we first introduced this segment, when it was just Taylor and I on the Astro League podcast in 2021, we would pick back and forth a wide receiver, tight end, like a wide receiver. We'd pick back and forth. So we'd pick the position and we'd have to pick a player from that position and we would alternate. So the position would be nominated. And he definitely beat me at that segment when we did that. And then once we introduced MANJOT and we did that as a 3-player draft thing, Taylor definitely gained the shit out of it and was smarter than the pair of us on it. I mean, MANJOT, we were absolutely his children on that, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, look, for the first 3 years, I mean, I was an avid listener 2021 and then was on the show the last couple of years, and then I was just listening to those 3 years and every single year, and I was really impressed by Taylor, how well he did in all 3 years. I even thought at that point, having listened to the show so much, that I would just take whoever Taylor had, in some of my other leagues. I just picked them up, and I saw it sort of started this bias in me that I started to think Taylor was 100 times better than Matty at fantasy football. And look, this year though, Matty, absolutely, though, you have come back and you have done a really good job. So I can't go that way. I know I just absolutely roasted the shit out of you, Deb, but
Wow.
this year has been absolute great bounce back from you. I know we give you a lot of shit in the chat.
Jesus Christ.
We say you get lucky and this and that, in the chat, but we have to give you like a huge, big shout out, big congratulations for all the greatness you've had this year. And honestly, it's hard to beat Taylor at anything. This guy he made the playoffs at all bloody 13 of his leagues, and he only got knocked down in like 4 of them or something like that. And he's in like 9 finals. He's just an incredible player. So look, to beat him this year, Matty, you've got to tip your cap off to you. And I reckon the world team as well, we gave it a good shake. I do understand why Matty was saying to box out Taylor. I think the world team did a good job at that, but I think they should box you out too, Matty. We should play for ourselves. I know Kev definitely did, but yeah, for sure. It was a good season. Good season.
Might be the strategy next year is to box out Matty C.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah, well, and I mean, and this week, let's eradicate first. This is 100% the battle between Taylor, who's won the segment. He's picked his team 16 straight weeks, and he is not in a position to win the segment. And we've only brought in someone who's never lost this segment to beat Taylor. So the stakes aren't low, and it really is a matter of, Taylor, who's made 13 fantasy playoffs out of 13 leagues this year, trying to stave off last place. And we have only recruited the best person on earth. There is nobody better to replace Taylor this week than Kev. And Kev, I'm very grateful for you on very short notice at a very challenging time of year when it comes to finding opportunities to dedicate a couple of hours to talking fantasy football and in different time zones for all you've done to make yourself available. You came in twice this year to join us on the show and made everything that I've learned from you and all the wonderful time we spent together talking on the side, but through the podcast as well. I'm just so grateful and big ups to you from everybody on the Aussie Gridiron Network, but also in the Aussie NFL fantasy community. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us.
No, it's a pleasure, Matty. Always like my 2 favourite things are talking fantasy and talking shit. And I just get to do a plethora of both when I join this show. So, yeah.
MANJOT, I need to thank you too, because you've come on the last week of the year. You've had a huge year, and maybe people in the fantasy world haven't seen, and maybe people in the G'day Gridiron world haven't seen, but those who have been in Australian Gridiron have been unable to live without seeing everything that you've done in the space, especially around Aussie Gridiron today. I got to help you a bunch with that, and I absolutely feel privileged that I get to spend time on a Saturday for 15 weeks of the year standing next to you in commentary for the ACT Gridiron, and then everything we've done to try and promote Australian Gridiron, and you are the bastion of that. And I absolutely have to tip my hat and say, and it's been an incredible year for you, for everything you've done to grow the game in Australia, but also everything you've done to grow your own profile within the game. And I'm just so pleased that you still find time to spend with us plebs.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like every week I've just been itching to talk NFL football. Been trying to start MANJOT Night Football, who knows, I might just go ahead and record an episode after this just because I'm in the zone of just talking NFL football. Yeah, I've been on GG and fantasy this week. I'm back to...
Might as well make the trifecta.
Yeah, back to my old, 3 episodes a week. Yeah, I've sort of just been missing that, to be honest. I've been missing you guys, but I think, to be honest, in my place, I think I had to make the right decision in terms of just, I just had so much to do. I thought I could expand in this area with the local stuff. And honestly, it was just great. It's just been a great season. I've been in 60, 70 people's DMs, just trying to get them on the show, trying to get every single club in Australia on the show. We haven't got there yet, but I think next season for sure we can get even more people on there. Yeah, we're definitely trying to change everything with local football in Australia, try and get people on board because we have leagues in every single state and territory, and I feel like not enough people know about that for sure. And I feel like we need to get the word out there, get people out there playing football, coaching. If you love the NFL, there is definitely a role in this game, even as a spectator for you. So for sure, I've been enjoying it. It's definitely been a big passion project of mine. But at the same time, I've definitely missed you guys. And honestly, I can't wait for the playoff shows because, in all honesty, the AGM playoff shows, just to be back with everyone, I think, in my place, having guys like Nick and Isaac on GG and, all the wonderful guests we've had on Aussie NFL Fantasy, it's probably made both shows better without me there, with you guys replacing me with other talent. So I think you guys have done an amazing job. I have to give a big shout out as well to you and Ian, Matty, because you guys fucking edit 5 hours or something. You spend 5 hours a week, at least 10 hours maybe. I don't even know. I can't even estimate how many hours you guys spend a week just editing 2 shows a week. And look, I mean, I've been on the editing grind this year as well.
You have like never before.
Yeah, I totally understood before how much you guys spend editing these shows, how much time and everything, and you gotta have all these extra costs and stuff, getting microphones and shit, and it's a lot, but time and money spent into this network and everything, and you guys definitely deserve all the credit. So shout out Ian, shout out Matty, you boys have been doing an amazing job. Shout out to Taylor, of course, couldn't be here today, but I'll catch him on the playoff shows. And I was actually really excited when you guys told me that Big Kev was going to step in place because
same here.
Again, I'm really grateful for Kev. I'm sounding like Taylor when he's thanking a guest every week because.
But you guys haven't met live. You haven't been on a microphone together until today. But you've known each other 2 years. This is the greatest thing. It's the Australian fantasy football community is meeting right here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Kev is when I got into IDP, I thought I was one of the only Aussie guys into it. And now I met Kev, and he's just, IDP central right there. And I reckon love to hear him. Yeah, we'd love to hear him on a show about weird fantasy formats at some point. Just go on about it. Me and him might have to do a special on Pastry Press, I reckon, in the next year or so. During off season, just talk about weird fantasy leagues. I think I'll hit up Kev for that as well. So big thank you to everyone at the network. You guys have been doing an awesome job with Taylor there. I think keeping Taylor in line so he doesn't ramble on about he
needs a host.
Yeah, I mean, imagine him as host with him rambling on about dick jokes and ass jokes and all these sort of things for 60 minutes. How much fantasy analysis can we get out of him? I do not know, but you boys have been killing it this year, all of you at the network. So massive thank you to big 6 of you at this point. So I think you can definitely keep carrying on without me, and I'll still be on the guest as a guest from time to time. But
we couldn't carry on without you, MANJOT. We never could, and it's just great that you're doing so many amazing things outside of the things that are super visible to the NFL guys in the G'day Gridiron community and the fantasy guys. You're actually doing a lot, and you're so much more visible on this island than people think. Find this guy, find him. He's at Pastry Press NFL, and it is the. We talk about Linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network being the mothership. MANJOT, what do you say about Pastry Press NFL?
Yeah, the YouTube channel especially, I call it the Death Star. If the Linktree's the mothership, then the Page Press YouTube is the Death Star because we got the page. So on that channel, you've got Page Press Instagram where you have all the short form video and all that sort of thing. Those all go onto the YouTube channel as well. So you're getting lots of people watching that. And then
subscribe today. Subscribe now.
Honestly, and then you get Aussie Grind Today, which is my show. You get MANJOT Night Football, which I'm gonna make an episode. I do promise you guys. There will be an episode coming out very soon.
It's not every week, but when it's a week, it is a big week. Yeah, he does Aussie Gridiron Today. All the podcasts appear there. You can find everything you want there, right?
Yeah, the podcast. That was the last thing. That's where you can find every single GG and Aussie NFL Fantasy episode from about October onwards. You can find every single GG and fantasy episode. go ahead and listen back to them, help support the YouTube channel. You can find it on YouTube Music or the YouTube app, or just the YouTube site. It's literally just like a picture. We just literally repost it straight from our feed on Spotify or Apple and all of that sort of thing straight onto YouTube. So it goes in automatically. So if you boys are big on YouTube, go ahead and check out the shows on YouTube just to help out the Pastry Press NFL and the algorithm as well, just to help out the boys in the algorithm of YouTube so we can get more people onto our shows. So, big thank you to everyone at the network. It's been a great year. And look, I'm looking forward to these playoff shows, Matty.
Same here. It's going to be great. And the format of that is literally going to be there's some recap on games. There's going to be some preview on games. There's going to be fantasy games in there. And it's going to be just the G'day Gridiron, Aussie NFL Fantasy, whatever brands kind of melt away. It all becomes Aussie Gridiron Network. And I think it is truly some of the best things that we produce all year in terms of the NFL-based content. Fellas, we need to get out of here, but quickly before we go, find Aussie NFL everything at the Linktree /Aussie Gridiron Network. You can even buy your mum a nice T. Higgins Spit Roast shirt for Christmas. It's up there. You can find the barbecued one, David and Joku, get a T-shirt for that for your nana. Why not? You can find all of that there. We're going to announce winners of our tipping contest next week. We're even going to go ahead and announce the winner of the World versus Taylor in our Starts of the Week segment next week. And we're looking forward to everything that comes with the network in terms of our playoff schedule. Kev, thank you so much for filling in for Taylor on such short notice. It is so great to have you back. Long live the undefeated streak, right?
That's right. Does it count if I lose if I'm not the world, though?
I mean, you're Taylor this week, so if you win, you get to claim it as Kev, but if you lose, you get to go, fuck, Taylor, you suck, right? Isn't that how it works?
That's how I was playing it.
Very good. Manjot, you've got all the pressure of the world on you. How do you feel?
Oh, I'm feeling good. I've been putting the pressure on myself for a long time, and even with all the local content as well, there's been a lot of pressure. But I pressure for breakfast, I've been working really hard all year. For me, this is just another bit of pressure.
Yeah.
If the world's watching, I'm going to deliver.
The world is code for Team MANJOT, by the way. And I'm your host, Matty C. We'll be back next week. We're going to do a recap of everything. We've got all our water bets. We're going to recap everything, all the people who won prizes through the Aussie Gridiron Network, the lot. And then we're back from week 19 onwards with the Aussie Gridiron Network playoff shows. Thank you so much for all of your support through the year. Of course, as we get to this point of the year, the amount of people who are alive drops off, and we know less people are listening to the fantasy aspect, but we implore you to stick with the rest of the network because the network is doing great things and we appreciate your support. You can find us Linktree /Aussie Gridiron Network. You can find everything that MANJOT does on Pastry Press through Instagram and also on YouTube. We implore you to find that, subscribe to it. If you can, leave a rating. If you can, leave a review as well, because those things actually help more than you think. In the meantime, we're going to catch you all after you've won your fantasy championships. Kev, you're in about, what did you say, 46 championship games? 5?
Thousands, isn't it? No, I got made it to 5 finals. So
5 finals.
Big one against Wrestling. Fuck that guy.
Hey, screw you, Nathaniel, by the way. And hey, MANJOT, did you make any finals?
Sadly not. Sadly not. I fell short in the playoffs. Yeah, it was heartbreaking. I had 3 heartbreaking playoff losses. Matty was responsible for one of them.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to totally bring that up. I also vanquished Taylor in one of the Astros leagues this week as well. So I'm in 2 finals, which is super good out of, I'm in 13 leagues. And I did not expect to make this many finals. So there you go.
I lost the AGN Dynasty League semi-final by half a point because of quarterback Neil.
Yeah, agonizing, right? Agonizing.
Oh, yep. God.
Yeah. There you go. It comes down to, it's a game of inches, yards, points.
Yards at that point.
Decimals, something. It's a game of something. We'll catch you all after you've won your championships. Everybody except MANJOT, it sounds like he's up for a championship this year. MANJOT, mate, let's raise a cup together next week. In the meantime, find us everywhere, and we'll catch you next week for the recap on everything. Hooroo!
Thank you, everyone.
Bear down.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Yeah, I know. We'll just subject ourselves to, more of this downgrade in podcast hosting.
Nah, I honestly think I deserve it. It's been a shit year.
We're all about the Lord delivering us from pick sixes.
Aussie.
Why not get your mum a cock slap shirt for Christmas?
Problem is, it's an absolute pit of arseholes.
NFL.
So if they'd realised this earlier, we could have been like pegging you back rather than just you pegging us.
Just to get me some of that sweet stack 'em up action.
Fantasy.
Conk
Conk Metcalf.
It just hasn't been there this year. Like, it just doesn't have hands.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Just because, you decide to suck off a rhino and give yourself a bit of like chili cough